quickly, it became apparent that the pool wasn't just for show, as Valentine himself suddenly dives into the mist, disappearing.
Uh-oh, she's gonna be unconscious because of the CO2. She's potentially going to be drowned. This is bad.
Making matters worse, Valentine wanted the show to be as long-lasting as possible, and in turn ordered the doors to be closed in order to keep
Oh my god, they closed the door. Oh my god. They don't know what just happened for them. Oh shit.
As rescuers made their way to the scene and attempted to enter the hole, it was discovered that it was far deeper than anyone could have imagined, with later reports showing that the pit was a staggering 43 feet deep, with the
43 feet? That is so deep. That's almost like, I don't know. I don't know math, but I guess 10 meters? 8? I don't know.
entire open.
But damn. Let's get into our reaction, and today's reaction is about YouTube Darkest Video Part 4 by Nick Crowley. Yes, we're back again with Nick Crowley. In this video is usually like, I miss to watch this video, and usually this video, I was actually shocked that I miss watching this video. Even though I watched Nick Crowley for almost all of his video, this video is the one that I forgot to watch in the past, I guess, so I might as well, do some reaction right now. I haven't seen this part 4 of this video series, so without further ado, let's get started. Warning, lights shown. Disclaimer, the following video contains stories and videos that may be highly disturbing for some. Viewer discretion is advised, so warning friends.
July 29th, 2019, patrons file into a busy bar in downtown LA for the start of an always entertaining open mic night. You never know what types of performances you'll get on nights like these, or what kind of people will grace the stage with their presence. And on 2019, July 29th, 2019, patrons file into a busy bar in downtown LA for the start of an always entertaining open mic night. You never know what types of performances you'll get on nights like these, or what kind of people will grace the stage with their presence. And on this particular evening, patrons would bear witness to one of the strangest acts they'd likely ever seen, and it was performed by a man named Robert Camus.
Where's your funny face? Make funny face.
Chapter 1, Open Mic Night. Interesting. Seems like they're trying to perform. It's always fairly surprising to see a lot of people perform during stages. I've never been to open bar and, to hear like talent stuff. But I don't know. What are your experience, friends?
Interestingly, Robert has a long history here across YouTube, being featured in what seems like countless videos performing skateboarding tricks with a group of friends. But on this night, Robert was ready to show off another skill of his, as he took to the stage to perform a freestyle rap. Starting out, the performance was, well, a little shaky to put it nicely, which was at least partially to blame on Robert's apparent drunken state. But a bad night of karaoke in isolation is nothing all that noteworthy. In fact, despite the lethal doses of cringe, many would actually view this as a great time, a funny memory.
I can't believe that Nick Crowley just say little dose of cringe. Man, I'm pretty sure cringe is still prominent even till today, man. But I think today's cringe are more exaggerated, especially in a political sphere.
Lethal doses of cringe, many would actually view this as a great time, a funny memory, and even respect Robert for being so willing to go up there and just give it a try. However, his performance wasn't quite finished yet, and after fumbling his way through the beginning of the song, Robert's lyrics take an unexpected turn.
Fucking leg and then I'm out. Motherfucker, you don't even know my fucking news. I killed my bitch and buried that bitch in the fucking dirt. Give it out. Fast in I'm out because the cops trying to look for me and I'm fucking trying to jump.
Okay.
The messy video shows Robert as he raps the line, "I killed my bitch and buried that bitch in the fucking dirt, before muttering that he has to leave because the cops are looking for him. It was a bizarre moment to say the least, and despite many in the crowd trying to play off the line as a joke, with the MC even saying that it was an Eminem-inspired performance.
I mean, so if you don't know, friends, I'm actually a very big fan of Eminem, and then Eminem lyrics are usually very, very dark and extremely disturbing sometimes, and extremely unhinged too. And I usually love a lot of his music. And also, friends, if you don't know, MC is usually called master of the crowd because you master the crowd around you and control it by your lyrics. That's why they call it MC, master of the crowd. There's also one thing to note about like people that are drunk that I learned this from science stuff and like psychology. And usually when people are drunk, they're more likely to speak something that is unfortunately truthful, like I guess if you have, an instinct that your significant other is cheating, I guess make them drunk and ask them questions.
Others in the audience were more visibly concerned, and as it turns out, they had every right to be.
Damn.
Well, we're inside this bar, the King Eddie bar, and this is where Camus was standing when he did this rap version, and I guess the big question is, was it a confession?
Parked out front of the establishment was Robert's gray Prius, and in the trunk of this Prius was a shovel, along with fresh dirt and fresh blood. Blood that belonged to his girlfriend, Amanda Custer. And coincidentally, that very day, Amanda Custer had been reported as missing after a neighbor had witnessed Robert carrying her limp body and placing it in the trunk of his car before driving.
Oh my god, even it was captured by camera? That was extremely disturbing. Yeah, I guess like they really did admit a lot of those truthful things, This is why usually people that are drunk, they're more likely to say the truth because they were not aware to hide their, true intentions.
Off, only to emerge hours later, alone at this open mic night. In the moment, a bizarre performance was all this seemed to be, but today, many refer to this rap as being an actual confession, and in the end, this footage would ultimately be used in court and lead to Robert's conviction for the murder of Amanda Custer, even though to this very day, her body has never been found.
Oh my
But if
god.
the words of Robert are to be believed, then it's sadly very likely that she's out there somewhere, buried deep in the dirt.
Now, if you've seen Amanda Custer, police want to hear from you.
It has been 3 days since Amanda Custer's been seen.
Oh my god. That's a cool shot and edit, the woman crying in the background. It's so dark. Man, that is extremely unfortunate that the body is still not found in I guess 3 days. I don't know if it's found now, but man, I guess he confessed himself through his heinous acts in those places, and I don't know why that's so weird. I guess he was just really fucked up mentally. 4. Ad? Oh, no. No ad. Okay, where were you when it happened? Liminalland.net. Oh, this is an ad.
But remember, people have
Is
to
it?
learn how to
No, it's not an ad. Okay.
It's great fun though, and something
We're
you can do with all of your friends.
Sinking.
During the summer of 2022 in Karei Yosef, Israel, a popular corporate villa had been rented out by
Oh, Israel. For sure people love that land, especially right now. In today's era, everybody loves Israel.
a local marketing agency to host a company event. The location was highly sought after due to its large outdoor pool area, making it the perfect spot for employees to unwind and connect outside of their typical working environment. And on this day, the 21st of July, 50 employees of this company would gather at the party to enjoy the hot summer sun and the cool water of the pool. And by all accounts, the party had been going off without a hitch, until it happened. As unsuspecting partygoers were hanging in and around the pool, some began to notice that the water level appeared to be receding, with one keen witness pulling out their phone to record the unfolding ordeal. And just as they hit that record button, things would fall into complete chaos.
וואו, יש בולען בבריכה, קררה.
מישהו צילם את זה?
Oh, I think that's a sinkhole. Did the sinkhole just occur below the pool? That's, oh man, that's very scary because you can drown below on that sinkhole. It will create a whirlpool and you can't escape from that whirlpool below the water, I guess. But it's also kind of refreshing because majority of Israel's land, I guess, is part desert. So I guess it is a pretty refreshing to have a pool there. But why is this called sinking? This is also chapter 2. Man,
Suddenly, a large sinkhole opens up beneath the pool, in turn creating a massive vortex and an impossibly strong current, dragging essentially everything in its path down towards the opening. And within mere seconds, the pool, once completely filled with water, had become completely barren, with even the pool floats disappearing beneath the surface of the earth. Luckily, at the time there were only about 6 partygoers in the pool, and 3 of them had immediately made their way to safety, but one man could be seen standing dangerously close to the newly formed crater, even slipping and falling to the ground just inches away from being pulled into its opening. Thankfully, he too had managed to make his way to safety, but the 2 others weren't so lucky, as in the moments immediately before this video began, they had been sucked into the depths of the sinkhole. Of the 2, one would be able to quickly pull his way to safety, while the other was nowhere to be found.
damn.
As rescuers made their way to the scene and attempted to enter the hole, it was discovered that it was far deeper than anyone could have imagined, with later reports showing that the pit was a staggering 43 feet deep, with the
43 feet? That is so deep. That's almost like, I don't know. I don't know math, but I guess 10 meters? 8? I don't know.
entire opening.
But damn, that's almost, I guess I can imagine it like a second story building, I think. I don't know. I don't know math. Unfortunately, guys, I don't know how to imagine math in my head. But yeah, that is extremely deep. That's almost created an entire cavern below the pool. That's insane. Man, I'm pretty sure that one person unfortunately died, but we'll see, we have to see the evidence here.
Reports showing that the pit was a staggering 43 feet deep, with the entire opening being filled with water. And the missing swimmer, 32-year-old Khalil Kimhi, was trapped at the very bottom.
Damn.
It would take 4 grueling hours of navigating that claustrophobic grave to finally reach Khalil, who by that point was sadly long gone, having likely already perished by the time rescuers even reached the scene, passing away in what must have been one of the most horrifying ways imaginable. After all was said and done, it was revealed that the owner of the villa had built the pool in an unsafe location, and had done so without a permit, leading to charges of negligent manslaughter. And though this event was no doubt a tragedy, it's easy to see just how much worse this could have been if more people had been in that pool at the time. And what truly haunts me the most about this clip is just how unexpected it was. One minute you're enjoying a beautiful swimming pool, and the next, you're trapped 40 feet beneath the earth.
Man, and I can't imagine like my children there, swimming. Holy Jesus. And I can't swim too, so that's a double bad thing. Yikes.
Drowning, with no chance of survival. All because of a freak phenomenon that is entirely unpredictable.
Snow is mechanically pressed 1,800 pounds to the square inch and emerges in 50-pound blocks of dry ice. When placed in liquids, it returns to its original gaseous state.
Smoke on the water.
Really hot.
Usually this is called dry ice. I think they're basically frozen carbon, I think. That's why if you put them on the water, the carbon will go outside from the water and create this like smoke of pure carbon. I don't know why a lot of people wear gloves when using them. I guess it's that cold.
From one pool party to another, this next clip takes us to Moscow, Russia in February of 2020, where an influencer named Ekaterina Didenko was preparing to celebrate her 29th birthday. Just a few years prior, Ekaterina had graduated from medical school, earning her the title of pharmacist, but rather than going the traditional route and pursuing a career in pharmacy, she instead chose to use her expertise to start a blog focused on creating homemade medicines in order to save her viewers trips to the pharmacy.
That's always very bad. Usually, if people are trying to sell you, medicine, it's probably that you should always avoid. If things are forced to be sell with you, you probably don't want to, buy from them, because I'm pretty sure there are, snake oil people, I guess, snake oil business. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the thing. Snake oil business. Always try to avoid this stuff and always like ask for professional help, because a lot of doctors that are, they've been studying for like 10 years of their life. They kind of sacrifice 10 years of their life just to study and memorize all of the potential, chemicals and the effects that on your body is like, just go to a doctor, man. Just ask them stuff out. Even though unfortunately it is pretty expensive, I wish our government just make those shit, just at least cheaper, and especially for the doctors that have been working. I really wish that health is a human right, because some people who are unfortunately like this, they're trying to sell you and stuff that might be potentially harmful.
This type of content is nothing new, and in most cases it's highly controversial, and Ekaterina was no exception to this, with many calling her practices and advice potentially dangerous. This, however, did not stop her from amassing a following of over 1 million people, which was spread out across her Instagram page along with other platforms. And despite her content being controversial in nature, she quickly carved out a legitimate career as an influencer by 2020. And with her birthday approaching on the 28th of February, she wanted to throw the perfect party to show off to all of her followers. Helping plan the night was Ekaterina's husband, Valentin Didenko, who was on board to make the evening as grand as possible. And Valentin had the perfect plan, something he called a steam show. Previously, the couple had booked a venue to accommodate all their guests, with one of the most appealing amenities being its swimming pool, and using his limited
I think considering the last chapter about swimming pool, this is not gonna go well, isn't it? Yikes. I think if there's a video that exists from Nick Crowley and is talking about some videos, and especially it comes to the pool, I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be pretty, man.
Limited knowledge of science, along with inspiration from a somewhat viral trend at the time, Valentin thought of a way to turn that ordinary pool room into something extraordinary. By using dry ice to fill the entire room with steam, as dry ice...
That's usually not steam, that's usually carbon. It might be potentially harmful because the smoke is, unfortunately, I think it was CO2. Because dry ice, as I said, is a frozen carbon. If you put that on the water, the smoke that's coming up is usually carbon, I think. I'll try to search, actually. I don't want to, misinform my viewers. Okay, so here it is, friends, from Cryocarb. Dry ice is made by liquefied carbon dioxide, injecting it into a holding tank and frozen the temperature of -9 Fahrenheit and compressed to a solid ice. So it is right. It is made from carbon dioxide. So this is extremely bad because the carbon dioxide, as you know, you can't breathe carbon dioxide. Your body usually take out carbon dioxide and, let in oxygen. So this might be potentially poisonous for them within that venue and room, especially if you're in an enclosed area. Bad news, man.
By using dry ice to fill the entire room with steam, as dry ice combined with water creates an immediate dense fog, in turn creating his steam show. And so, as the party was going on and guests were having a great time, Valentin decided to reveal the main event, and brought all the partygoers into the room, giving them gowns and goggles to wear, before dumping a box full of dry ice into the water.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, water, you're crazy!
Материал только что обновленный. В газообразное состояние!
It's kind of fascinating that they can also speak English. I guess much of the people can speak English in their day. But there seems to be pretty articulate with their words, They can really say it with a full accent even. Yeah, it's not good. It's kind of cool, actually. Get out of there, man. That's poison.
Instantly, the pool disappears within a cloud of gas, creating the incredible show that both Ekaterina and Valentin had dreamed of, with Ekaterina herself pulling out her phone to record the moment. And quickly, it became apparent that the pool wasn't just for show, as Valentin himself suddenly dives into the mist, disappearing.
Uh-oh. She's gonna be unconscious because of the CO2. She's potentially going to be drowned. This is bad. We'll actually see. You there. Yes, you. You're watching this video right now, aren't you? I'm going to predict something about you right now. And you are not liking and subscribing to my channel. I'm ashamed. So yeah, if you've been watching here, Hi, I'm Kuyan. I usually make, reaction videos about horrifying stuff. And if you like those type of content, please like and subscribe to this video. And thank you for your support. Let's go to the video.
Within its hidden water.
Ёб твою налево! Что вообще происходит?
But there was just one problem. The chemical reaction that happens when dry ice and water connects doesn't just cause the formation of mist. It causes the formation of carbon dioxide that is produced in such a highly concentrated form that it appears as fog, meaning that the cloud we are seeing here is made entirely of straight CO2, which in such high concentration is toxic to humans, with it causing shortness of breath and eventual asphyxiation. And though Ekaterina's recording shows the group having the time of their lives, no one realized that when that dry ice was placed in the pool, it had in turn placed all of their lives in danger. Making matters worse, Valentine wanted the show to be as long-lasting as possible, and in turn ordered the doors to be closed in order to keep
Oh my god, they closed the door. Oh my god. They don't know what just happened for them. Oh shit. That's like someone farting in a room because, carbon dioxide. And, dying from that, I guess, indoors because you closed the entire room. I'm sorry for the joke, by the way. I'm just trying to lighten up the unfortunately dark mood. I don't know. What do you think about my jokes? Is it very inappropriate to joke a lot of, these dark times? Or I don't know. But man, they are unfortunately dead. But we'll see though. How many they will survive? But man, this is just unfortunate. This is also an extremely negligence and health hazard, man. This is why always be careful when it comes to knowing all the materials and what they're made of, because man, you don't know when you're going to be poisoned.
Fog inside the small room, meaning that there was very little ventilation to filter out this toxic gas, making the levels of CO2 not just very dangerous, but incredibly deadly. And Valentine had just dove directly into its heart. He would break the surface just one time after this, and although the crowd cheers him on, believing he's just splashing around and having some fun, at this moment, his lungs were filling with fluid, and he was suffocating to death, as below the water he was drowning, and on its surface he was suffocating. He was trapped, with the only outcome being death. Ekaterina then turns the camera on herself, revealing another man entering the water as she's laughing and yelling in amusement. And behind her, all of her friends are seen recording the ordeal, oblivious to the fact that Valentine was now dying at the bottom of the pool. They were far too distracted trying to get the perfect shot for their own social media pages. In the end, it truly was the spectacle that Valentine and Ekaterina had dreamed of.
It's like a dream and a nightmare at the same time. And unfortunately, they die from cloud. I guess most of people unfortunately die from cloud, especially on I don't know. I also heard those dark TikTok challenges. I might actually react to that, dark challenges from TikTok, where unfortunately a lot of people, especially young children too, that died because they do those type of, dark challenges. It's also a cautionary warning for all the parents there to, check their own children of what they're doing and what they're watching, man. Because sometimes this type of stuff will gonna be unfortunately influence your children in the future to also hopefully prevent them and be aware of these type of dangers.
Shortly after the recording had ended, partygoers would finally realize that something was terribly wrong, as some began to experience shortness of breath that eventually caused them to pass out. Meanwhile, others began to feel sharp pains throughout their body that were eventually learned to be the result of chemical burns. Once the room was finally evacuated, 3 partygoers would be unaccounted for, as Natalia Manakova, Yuri Elfarov, and Valentine were left in the foggy room, dead at the bottom of the pool. What should have been the perfect day for Ekaterina had instead ended with her becoming a widow. And as off-putting as this video is, many would point to Ekaterina's behavior following the incident as even more unusual. Immediately after the incident occurred, Ekaterina would start her grieving process by posting this video for the world to see, and subsequently vlogging her experience at the hospital and documenting the death of her husband.
Валя находится под дверями реанимации. Кто умер, я не знаю. Валя в реанимации находится, не знаю, в каком состоянии. Вали больше нет с нами. Еще Наташа и Юра.
Man, it's so weird that you try to, try to record and show the world about your grieving process. Just be healthy, man. This is extremely unhealthy, unfortunately. It's just so bad. You're trying to, I guess, cloutify. Is that even a word? Cloutify unfortunately, your grieving process. This is usually not a good thing, by the way. This is why usually I keep journal where I write all of my thoughts and how life is going to be, all of my bad experiences and all stuff are also good experiences. I usually keep them to myself in order for people to not judge, but also if you try to reveal those stuff, it's like, hey, this is how I feel, and I guess my husband unfortunately died, I feel sad about it. It's usually not healthy. It's no one's going to help that. It's like no one's going to help you. Unfortunately, it is very hard. I think for you to really personally move on and this in order to progress your grieving process, I think it's better to just do that privately and talk to your family and loved ones from this unfortunate loss.
It was admittedly a bit bizarre, as many accused her of exploiting the death of her husband to gain internet followers, with further questions being posed as to why she hadn't considered the deadly effects of dry ice and water, as after all she was an expert in the field of science. The scrutiny towards Ekaterina became so intense at one point that Russian authorities launched an investigation into her actions, claiming that it may be possible to charge her for causing death by negligence, though to my knowledge, nothing ever came of this.
Okay.
Just 5 whole months after the incident, Ekaterina would remarry, with those initial posts documenting the death of her first husband, leading to her gaining an additional 500,000 followers.
Yeah, I guess you find something, a good ending to find out another good husband. But man, be careful when it comes to doing this type of, science and stuff that you don't even know. They might be very dangerous.
Inside this vertical city, a machine has come to life.
Ooh.
A machine.
Spooky AI technology. Scary.
With a terrible secret.
Oh, wait. Oh, I think I remember this. The Taiwanese video. Uh-oh. The elevator too. The Taiwanese elevator video.
For God's sake, take the stairs.
Wait, I kind of remember this. Though I'm pretty sure it's a different story. I don't know, but it's usually like a girlfriends, not girlfriends, but I think it was like a weird girl. I think she was having like a mental weird stuff, which is in her psychology. She was like running around stuff, and she was like talking to someone, which is kind of weird. And she was really thought she was missing around that building from that camera, but eventually she found her on a water tank, and she died. It's a very creepiest story that I ever like watched, and I think I was like a child back then. I don't know why it's so vivid in my mind of that story. That woman that like she was like gone and vanished within the elevator, and next thing you know, she was dead, found on a water tank, which is so bizarre.
It was a quiet January night in the Yuanlin Finance and Economics building, located in western Taiwan. The 16th floor tower held its fair share of both office spaces and residences, though as the clock reached past midnight, only the building manager would be awake in its lobby. As he settled in for another uneventful night, the silence was suddenly broken by a woman rushing in with a small child. The man didn't recognize her as a resident, and given that the offices were closed for the night, he stopped her and questioned why she was there. The woman, however, brushed him off in a hurry, stating that they were only there to meet a friend, before entering the elevator and disappearing out of view. According to the man, he felt a bad omen in the air after the encounter, and only grew more concerned as the morning arrived and the woman had yet to come down and exit the building. So out of curiosity, the manager turned to the building's CCTV footage to determine where the two had gone, only to see this.
What?
Inside the elevator, the woman begins hitting the button to floor 11 in what seems to be a panic, and as the doors close behind her and her child, she then removes her coat and places it on the ground, before doing the same with her kid. When the elevator then reaches their desired floor, she quietly slips off her shoes and exits in a hurry.
Huh?
It's unusual footage, as their behavior just seems slightly off, and it's made all the more disturbing due to what they could or couldn't see on the cameras after.
Yeah, she could have done something to that child, man. I don't know what happened. That's so bizarre, and they seem to be very erratic within their action within the elevator.
After that, upon exiting the elevator, the pair are seen walking down the hallway on floor 11 in this grainy footage recaptured by the man's cell phone, with the two heading in the general direction of the stairwell, which also happened to be the sole entrance to the roof. And from there,
Rooftop, high building. Hmm. Mm-mm-mm. Maybe? I don't know. I hope the best for them, but oh, it's gonna be very wild. We'll see.
the two aren't seen again. Noting this, the manager immediately began fearing the worst, as their bizarre behavior coupled with the route seemingly leading to the roof could only mean one thing. And quickly, the police were called for what they believed to be a cleanup job, figuring that the two had jumped off the roof. This belief was further fueled by the woman's actions in the elevator, as removing one shoe prior to is apparently a somewhat common thing in Asian countries, as they don't want to track dirt into the afterlife.
Oh, that's a very interesting tradition to left their shoes to, off themselves. It's an interesting tradition, I guess. So they try to leave that so that they can't be tracked in the afterlife. Interesting culture, actually, but still very, very dark. It's like a significant, so like, oh, this shoes is like, something's bad is going to happen.
Actions in the elevator, as removing one shoe prior to is apparently a somewhat common thing in Asian countries, as they don't want to track dirt into the afterlife. However, once officers arrived on scene and searched the entire perimeter of the building, there was no sign of the mother and daughter, not even a single trace of blood, meaning they couldn't possibly have jumped. Police would then look through the entirety of the footage and review the positioning of the cameras, only to determine that virtually all exits were covered by the watchful eyes of their CCTV. If these two had left the building, they would surely have the footage to prove it. Though while sifting through the entire night, this moment was the last they'd ever be seen on camera. So if they hadn't jumped and if they hadn't left, then they must be somewhere in the building, they thought, which led to a full-scale search of the complex, with officers going door to door searching every nook and cranny. However, while asking around, not a single resident had seen the pair that night, or even heard them for that matter. And when their initial sweep was concluded, the police would be left empty-handed, only uncovering just a few set of clues. For starters, they would find the clothes and shoes left behind on the elevator, and they would also find the woman's moped which she had driven to the building. And finally, they would find a single suitcase, found vacant on the top steps leading to the roof. Police would go on to describe this piece of luggage as suspicious, but never revealed its true contents. In fact, following an initial report, they would never give confirmation as to whether it was involved in this case or not. Either way, it led them to a dead end, as they believed these two could not have possibly left that building.
I think she was trying to left her shoes to, signify the authorities. It's like, hey, she might be doing something, that is game quitting herself, So I think it's like a red herring that she's trying to lay off. It's like, hey, she may be gone from this. But it seems like she's not gone, which is more likely very unusual, and I guess makes this mystery very, very intriguing. I wonder what happened to them.
Though at the same time, they clearly weren't there. Multiple times after this, the building would be searched and searched and searched again, even as recently as 2013, when they would go as far as to check the water pipes and even the water tank itself, which was inspired by an unfolding case of a similar nature.
Oh yeah, this woman, chat. This is usually the story that I'm talking about, where the woman, vanished from the elevator, even though she was like talking around with people, and like she was like talking to a weird friend. I guess she was like seeing ghosts, I guess. But I think she has like a mental instability, to see some weird stuff, and she unfortunately found dead within the water tank. I guess she drowned herself. It's kind of unfortunate.
Tank itself, which was inspired by an unfolding case of a similar nature halfway across the world, but no trace of the pair was ever discovered. Immediately after this footage was taken, these two vanished into thin air. Following the disappearance, local news would broadcast the footage where a man named Zhang would come forward stating that this was his wife and 4-year-old daughter. The woman's surname was Leo, and the pair had 4 children together, though their relationship was anything but perfect. Multiple reports claim that on that very night, the two had gotten into an argument, with some going as far as to say that Zhang had actually abused her, causing her to leave the home in a hurry, grabbing only their youngest daughter. Meanwhile, their eldest daughter would go on record stating that Leo had told her that they were going to visit a friend's house just for a few days, only to never return. Despite the significance of discovering the identity of this woman and her daughter, it would ultimately fail to help solve the case, as there have been no sightings of these two since this moment, turning this into one of Taiwan's most mysterious cases of all time.
What?
And in the region, 3 major theories have emerged. First, many locals in the area believe that something otherworldly happened to these two, with one resident at the time stating, "I think they entered another time and space."
That's probable, I guess, a sci-fi theory, but less likely. I'm pretty sure they're hiding somewhere within the building. They probably missed some part of the building.
This belief is actually so strong that even as of just a few years ago, that 11th floor is practically left vacant, as the only remaining family on that floor claims that everyone moved out of fear of the supernatural surrounding the incident. Another long-lasting theory was that the two were still somewhere in the building, having potentially taken their lives or just gotten stuck there. And officials believed this for years after the case, assuming that eventually someone would happen upon them. Though that day has never come, and due to the extreme summer heat in the region, it's likely that the smell alone would have led to their discovery by now.
And they said this has been going on for years? That is so unusual. Maybe they're transferred to a secondary building? Maybe? Or maybe this building is isolated, I don't know, but it's extremely unusual that they've been, they disappear.
Now. Which brings us to our third theory, that somehow the two had actually managed to leave the building without detection. Due to the camera positioning in the hotel, this seems rather unlikely, but some claim that there is a specific route that potentially could have provided just enough cover for them to avoid all the cameras. But this would have had to have been precise and seemingly deliberate. What makes this so strange, though, is that Leo apparently had limited to no knowledge of this building beforehand, begging the question how she could navigate in such an efficient manner, or why she would want to for that matter. And this is far from the only questions regarding this, like, why would she even enter this building to begin with if she was just going to leave, and why—
Oh, it's actually like an isolated building, and it's extremely pretty high even. This is unusual. Maybe the friend that she's been asking, tried to help her? I don't know.
Why go to that 11th floor in particular and remove those articles of clothing? And maybe most importantly of all, if she had somehow snuck around those cameras, how had she or her child never been seen again? Nothing about this case makes any sense, and honestly what happened to these two at this point is anyone's guess, as this is practically all the information available on their disappearance. Since then, there have been no sightings, no use of their health insurance, no use of their bank account, and their daughter's records show that she has never been enrolled to another school. It's almost as if they evaporated into that cold night air. Part of me hopes that this was all an attempt to flee an abusive relationship, and that somehow this was all just a distraction for these two to escape and start a new life elsewhere.
Yeah, that's the theory that I would love to hear, that they finally escape, from the abuse rather than, off themselves, that's maybe very unfortunate. But that's actually if she did escape from the 11th floor and all cameras from the exit, that will be very, very interesting and fascinating, and that's very clever of her to even escape the cameras in the first place.
Which could explain that supposed friend they were going to meet, why they shed their coats, and how they managed to sneak out of there in the first place. But things of that nature are easier said than done, and I can't help but get a sinking feeling that they are no longer with us, as surely at some point, some trace of them would have appeared by now. But unfortunately, an absolute conclusion is something that perhaps we may never get, and instead, we're simply left with this chilling video, which is undoubtedly one of YouTube's darkest.
Crazy.
Albion Online is a sandbox MMORPG in which you write your own story instead of following a laid-out path.
I think, friends, I theorized that, excuse me, I've also, eaten just a while ago. That's why I burp a lot. Man, I'm still full until today, man. Until this moment, because I was just recently eating. So I think I'm theorizing, friends, that I think they really just did escape efficiently from the cameras, I guess, and was not shown. And the friend that her been talking, I guess, was possibly like a foreigner, or possibly a smuggler. I guess smuggle her outside of Taiwan so that she will never be found again. But that's very, very precise. I guess it was navigated by her friend, I think the friend from the 11th floor, I guess, was trying to help her getting out from that building without any type of trace whatsoever. Because I'm pretty sure the friend already know the building from the inside out, I guess, and try to track all the cameras. And they probably did route her through the building where the cameras, wasn't there to see them. So I guess she really just, hopefully, because the body wasn't found, hopefully she did go out there through a new life, I guess, for her young daughter. But, if she did escape away from her abusive relationship, I just wish for the best for both of, her and the daughter, I guess, and wish for a better life for the both of them. What's a lame horse? This is chapter 5, the lame horse incident. Interesting title.
The celebration was well underway. December 5th, 2009 marked the 8-year anniversary of the beloved Lame Horse, a roughly 5,000 square foot nightclub located in Perm, Russia. On the evening of the 4th, the club began to fill with partygoers keen on joining in on the massive party. To commemorate the night, a cameraman and an interviewer would be on scene to document the events of that evening, which they did by first speaking to patrons as they roamed the club, getting their thoughts and opinions on the celebration.
There seems to be a lot of Russian-related theme here within this video.
The night all seemed to be in good fun, and it was only just beginning for most, with the party set to go all throughout the night, and as the recording continues, it's clear that the club had big plans to bring in this new year. Following the interviews, the footage shows us a view of the dance floor, which was occupied by a group of performers who had been hired to energize the crowd and further build the hype of the night. The organizers had even hired an MC for the evening, whose job was to keep the party alive. By this point, over 300 people had made their way into the building.
I mean, seems like a pretty normal party where everyone is just enjoying fun and nothing's gonna go wrong until you realize this is a Nick Crowley video and things usually go wrong from here on out.
As the MC continues the show by joking around with two young women who were clearly guests of the bar, with the cameraman fixing his lens on the three as the crowd watches on in amusement. But it's at this exact moment that the camera unintentionally catches something far more interesting, something that could easily be missed as it seemed so unimportant in the moment. While everyone's eyes are fixed forward at the show before them, this woman, standing on the far right of the camera, barely occupying a sliver of the frame, casually turns her head.
Potentially a gun? A knife? I don't know.
Only for her eyes to lock onto something behind her, and noticing the woman's bizarre reaction, the cameraman follows her lead and turns the camera in the same direction, revealing this.
Just kidding, friends. So, what do you think about the jump scare there? Did it scare you? I know you are. I know you're scared. But usually, man, I'm actually very scared. I don't know what's going to go on here. We'll see what's gonna go. Oh, fire. Oh.
Unbeknownst to pretty much everyone in the club at that time, a spark from the show's pyrotechnics had made contact with the club's ceiling, which...
I'm sorry for jump scaring you, by the way. That's gonna be very, very interesting. But yeah, man, it was very... I guess they're within a pickle here, since this is like a fire. And hopefully the fire exit is gonna be very open here. Not your fire exit though, when you get scared.
Was covered in decorative twigs for the party, and within a split second...
Also, wait, why did they put twigs above the ceiling within the house? Weird.
Which was covered in decorative twigs for the party, and within a split second, a fire would erupt. The initial shock caused many to freeze in place for precious seconds, unable to comprehend what exactly was happening. And it wasn't until the MC, the same one in charge of keeping that party alive, began to shout, "Ladies and gentlemen, guests of the club, we are on fire, please leave the hall," that the patrons would finally unfreeze.
Oh my god, it's locked. Oh, or are they within the tight space? Man, that's always like a bad sign, man. Especially when it comes to an emergency like this, always let the door open, at least. Oh shit, the door entrance is on fire, or smoking, I think.
Following this announcement, the crowd flew into a panic, desperately making their way to the exit, which is where the first fatal issue arose. The club supposedly had two exits, one through the front door and the other located behind the stage. However, that second exit had no signs indicating where it was, meaning that practically no one in the room knew that it was even there. Because of this, most of the patrons began pushing towards that one main exit. Upon making his way into the hallway, the cameraman reveals the exit and, in turn, another devastating issue. In order to control the crowd going into the venue earlier that night, one of the two doors at the front entrance was locked, meaning that this small opening was the only means of escape for the 300+ people trapped inside. And to make matters worse, by this point, the entire venue was now shrouded in smoke.
Uh-oh. Bad time. Wait, so why was the front door locked? So there are two exits. The one exit has no apparent exit, and the front, the main area where they get in was locked. Okay, this is bad.
As so many people were attempting to fit through that small exit, they became stuck, causing a logjam and in turn, a human crush. And the more people desperately tried to push through that door, the more jammed it became. Meanwhile, those still trapped on the dance floor were left hopelessly lost in that impenetrable smoke. And within the mob of people rushing towards that exit, the camera suddenly goes dark before shutting off completely.
Oh my god, that's very, very dark.
Somehow, the cameraman, along with multiple others, were able to squeeze their way out of the exit, as evident when the camera begins to record sometime later, this time in the middle of the road, revealing hints of the havoc that was occurring both inside and outside of the club. But tragically, this is where one last fatal factor was added to the equation, which was highlighted by a quote from a survivor and one of the very first people to escape the club. "After I got out, there were no firemen or emergency services for about 20 minutes. Nobody at all. There were only 2 ambulances altogether. They managed to take 6 or 7 men and left. No more ambulance cars arrived. At least I saw none.
What? There were no one there to save them? No ambulance at all? No, there's 2 ambulances, but no more ambulance after that. And there were no, firemen. What happened? They could have just... Man, they could have just been there and saved a lot of lives. What happened here?
Firemen had pulled out a number of people by then, half clothed. They
Yeah.
were simply laid out on the cold asphalt. Nobody cared for them. People were lying on the ground for about an hour and a half, definitely for no less than an hour. It could be that many of them died because of this, because of the cold. It was 16 degrees below zero outdoors.
Oh shoot, that is extremely bad. That is truly bad. You have a smoke within the I guess within the bar. The second was like the exit was extremely hard to get out, and the third is the outside was just extremely cold. Damn, they're really within the pickle here.
In what has since been heavily criticized, and rightfully so, the emergency response team only fueled the intensity of this disaster, as many of those trapped inside were left to their own devices, and those who were rescued were laid out on the street with severe injuries, and most of their clothes burned off, forced to lie there unable to move for over an hour in the freezing cold. It's unknown how many deaths were caused by this alone, but if these first-hand accounts are to be believed, it's likely that many were. Not only at the venue itself.
Wait a minute. So all the casualties are not. So all the casualties are not revealed from this one. That's so weird. All the news could have, all the news could have been reported that all this death and wounded, and all survivors. Like what happened here? This is so weird and seems like a cover-up almost.
Failed these victims, but the emergency response team had as well. Ultimately, 101 people would die on the scene that day, and an additional 55 perished later in the hospital, with the catastrophe amassing a death toll of 156 total people, making it the deadliest fire in Russia since the fall of the Soviet Union. The footage from that night, taken before, during, and after the event, truly account for some of the most disturbing on this site. But two moments in particular have always stuck in my mind, the first being that initial stunned reaction from the lady just off screen, as she had noticed what was transpiring before anyone else, and the other being that first reveal of the small fire on the ceiling that would so quickly and so savagely engulf the entire building and claim the lives of so many.
100. Damn.
I wanted to briefly mention that I have brand new Patreon tiers, and now for just $3 a month you can view my content early, along with some other cool exclusive benefits. And for possibly the last time, I want to thank my Gold tier and God tier patrons, Alexander Duran.
So I guess that's the end of the video, friends, from Nick Crowley. That was extremely very fun and, man, very creepy, especially that woman that just disappeared, from that 11th building. That was possibly the highlight of my viewing from this one. Also, it's kind of very fascinating for YouTubers to have like Patreons. I don't know how that works. I guess some people just pay you money and, they still get a benefit from it. But I guess they just really, I guess like a lot of Patreons, support their content creators and, they get an early, I think they get a VIP, VIP introduction for their content, and you can see like a lot of stuff they're making very early on. I guess they interact more from the creators. That'll be a very interesting that I may do in the future. But since I'm still a small YouTuber, I guess I'm just here to react all the videos. And man, this is extremely very fun. So here's the thing, friends, what do you think about the video? That's very, very fascinating. And man, I can't believe that I missed this one video from Nick Crowley that has been thankfully recommended from me from the YouTube algorithm, I guess. Thank God for the YouTube algorithm, even though I hate it because sometimes it tries to actively hide videos that I'm trying to look for, which is so unusual sometimes. But yeah, I still can't believe that you're still watching this video, and I actually see a lot of people that still watch throughout the video, and that's very, very amazing, and it makes me happy, man, that you're still, it's making me appreciative and very happy to still that you still watch this type of videos. And I always want to always make videos that you will love, and try to, I guess, sit back, relax, and like the best comfortable chair that you're going to melt from the comfortability, I guess. But I still always like questions like, is an intro good for this video? Should I make highlight clips? Should I even, make a lot of cuts, I guess, in the end of the video? Or should I yap more or should I yap less? It's always like these type of decisions, that whatever will happen for people. I think for me, it's like, I'm not the one who's gonna decide that fact. I think I'm just gonna that's why I make this new I guess, structure from my video to apply timestamps, I guess, or time chapters from the YouTube below, so that you can choose like, hey, do you want to, still hear me yap, or do you want to, I guess, go through the video already to, react. I would love to do this more in the future, so that you can decide on your own if, you want to, whether you want to watch my stuff that I say, or, stuff that you're just here for, for the thumbnail, I guess. And thank you, friends, for watching this video, and I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for your support, and good evening.